Namor, the king of Talocan, and Akukukan to his people, the feather serpent god, and the bringer of blood to the surface world. In today's video, as you see by the title, I'm going to tell you who this version of Namor from Marvel Comics is, and tell you how powerful he is. As a newcomer in Phase 4, and one of my favorite characters in Wakanda Forever, which I think is a very dope movie. Watch it if you haven't. Rest in peace to my man Chadwick Boseman, the GOAT. I hope you guys will enjoy, and don't ask why I have a case of an Aztec character on the screen. I couldn't get any case of strong Mayan footage because we're talking about a case of a Mesoamerican regard character, and it's also like, fuck you, I like Ocelotto, suck my dick. Either way though, I love y'all, I hope you guys have enjoyed. See you guys in it. Namor was born most likely in 1571 AD, not Zama Yukantan as you see on screen, but in this case, the case of where he technically hails from, with in this case his mom, whose name is not known, and her people, because of the case of Spanish people from Spain, aka Spaniards, coming to their land for the case of conquer and imperialism in the time, brought pox and case of disease and a bunch of different conflict and war. Her people were dying from all different type of stuff, but then their shaman went into the water from the case of a vision by the god of rain and saw a vibranium media with a plant of it, and he took this plant and used it as a way to maybe salvage or grace a possible way to cure the case of the disease, and most importantly to survive. Namor's mother was still pregnant with him and did not give birth to him yet, and was afraid of what it might do to him. But the shaman was very convincing in Namor's words, so Namor's mother decided to go ahead and drink it, and then from there, they all fell ill and fell down in the case of shock mixed at the same time passing out. They awoke and their skin was blue on air, aka in this sense on land. They had gills on their necks and gills on their stomach, and returned to half human, half sea creatures. They went into the water and found Nuke's possible home. She gave birth to Namor, who, by the case of the words of the shaman, will be the first king and the supreme ruler of the case of the new kingdom. And this kingdom will be Talocan, a whole case of underwater kingdom / country with its capital city. Namor, being a mutant, being half case of human / surface dweller, and mixed with the case of Talocan, had wings on his feet, making him no racial Mexican Hermes in this case, and antler ears. And because of the fact of the vibranium juice in his DNA / making him a very powerful person, he would age slower, but everyone else around him would age normally. So his mother grew old, she died, rest in peace to Mommy Namor, and so by the case of her wish, she made Namor promise to bury her in her homeland. Namor would do anything for his mother, so he decided to go and do this. I don't know what I'm saying, mother like that, this kind of sounds weird, but besides that, he would go bury his mother in the case of the homeland that she came from. But when he went there, he saw that it was overrun by a bunch of case matter of the new ground of people in this land, aka the case matter the Spanish people, and in this case decided to call for the case of the wrecking of this entire place. And as he buried his mother in the land that she came from, with this being said, a Spanish man of faith cursed him and called him out. If I'm even pronouncing that right, as I don't speak Spanish so strongly, fluently, please forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. And pretty much what it translates to is the boy with no love. Of Namor now was a case of an enemy name of him, as his original name by the case of his birth, in the case of him being seen as a god, never aging like the other people, a powerhouse, and being a crack case a matter of warrior, most likely in training. He was called Alcucucan, the name for the feather serpent god of Mayan mythology, aka the case of their belief in this instance. And so Namor would take this name as obviously a matter of name in comparison to just being called Namor just to be Namor in the sense of his comic book counterpart. As in comics, he's obviously Atlantean and a mutant as well, but in this case, he is Mayan descent, aka Mesoamerican, what is being said. So he would go ahead and forever be having a stain on humanity's people through that, as a case of them being dirty scum swine, because he has no love for the surface world, and even after burying his mother he would actually think of that as a stain, which, to be fair, from that point of view, and then at the same time the actual plot in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it would echo a little bit more to just what his mother spoke of, and the same time this as well. But besides his mother, he, no repetition what is being said, I'm just saying for the record, he more would go ahead and now forever be serving as a case of hero and the same time protector of the case of his ocean, with this being said, and make sure the case of matter of his people live good. And then in the case of matter of the plot of Wakanda Forever, when a girl named Williams, I forgot the case of her first name, what is being said, aka Ironheart, will create a device that was supposed to be able to try to locate vibranium. The case of U.S. operatives looked into this device to get vibranium, as people all around the world will want to go ahead and get vibranium. So, what is being said, Namor's people have vibranium, because remember, they were granted the capability to even be what they are because of the vibranium plant, and at the same time, the pure fact that their people have for generations had it because of being next to Wakanda, the only mainline people that had it. So if this device would be found by these people and it would go more deeper into the ocean, they could find Talokan and try to destroy it, kill them, take them, where the case may be. So as a case of the protector of his home, he did not want nothing to even happen to them, with this being said. So he found it necessary to go out his way to go ahead and find this person and kill her, with this being said, because as being shown to Shirley, the next Black Panther and little sister to T'Challa, the last king of Wakanda, he would want to go ahead and make sure his people are protected at all costs, and he will stop at nothing to do it. And as a case of an anti-hero, or a little bit more in a sense of an anti-villain in the same sense, what is being said, would go about trying to do that in multiple different cases of occasions. But the whole case of conflict of Black Panther Wakanda Forever will come into play with him needing to go ahead and try to kill her, and the fact that Wakanda wants to go ahead and defend this woman to figure out what they could possibly do to resolve this stuff, especially because at the end of the day, Moons was just over here doing a case of a project for school and wasn't actually trying to interfere with the living of Talokan or Wakandans, with this being said. So yeah, that's pretty much the more nutshell what's being said. In other case, matter of stuff, matter of feats, I'm going to be explaining more and more what is being said. But yeah, I'm going to talk about a case of what he can do as a combatant, and different case matter of things about him as well. Namor's capabilities are very vast, and in the case of matter for how he stands as a ruler and as a warrior. So there's going to be a lot of different case matter director statements, different talks, different mix of things, because he only has one movie to showcase this stuff. So take some of these with an arguable grain of salt, but it should be similarly even in the same sense of a good variable, but then you also have to take the case of matter hasn't been fully case shown, so there's an even grace of what you would strongly want to say for the character's strength to be there. So yeah, simply put, Namor is a mutant with great capabilities from being in case of both worlds, in the case of surface world and of the case of Talokan, like I started about in his origin. And within the movie of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, he showcases a great case of strength for being able to toss a helicopter into the water with no problem, being able to rock different Wakandan ships, throw them like toys, and move very quickly, and is able to deflect slash just blister away different case of matter of bullets from Wakandan ship, or even arguably case of matter of lasers. He keeps up with them, moves faster than them. He basically skates and blisters around on air. He's able to quickly bliss from the water with the case of the wings on his ankles and move cleanly, with this being said. This man is able to swim ridiculously fast and has a case of matter of like almost super swimming when he comes down to him getting into the water. He needs to keep his form of neck and body moist enough to salvage a great deal of his power. It's not necessarily indirectly said, but I would say that he can, obviously, being able to breathe on land, can survive on land without water, but to keep a great deal of his strength, he needs to go ahead and be in the water and out at the same time when it comes down to the case of how he moves. As when he does stuff, he quickly moves from the water then next second goes into the air to obviously put in work like he usually would do, but at the same time doesn't go in super exactly the way in the full finish you would full expect in this case, because again he simply put has to go ahead and keep an even take of both time in the case of being in the water at first and then in air. But at the same time, this is a very mixed bar thing depending on who he fights, because most people won't realize this. His opposite physiology is in this case being heat, aka case of matter of different heat sources and things like that would be very weird and opposite for a general case of person to go ahead and face. So think about that when it comes down to his movement and things like that, as again his case of capabilities are very mixed and vast when it comes down to how he moves with him. And so when you have someone like Namor in the case of a water scenario, where in the water, in the words of Ryan Coogler, the producer and director of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, who would be the case of like a Black Adam for the case of this movie, when it comes down to setting the case of the stage for things and writing things in it and producing obviously the case of the lore bigger than ever in this case with the character. He's as strong as Thor base-wise on the case of land, but is as strong as the Hulk, to even arguably stronger in water. So with a good deal of water or facing the more in water, he's stronger than ever. And this is shown from the case of him making a shockwave underwater. This is shown from the case of matter for how much case of feats and scale that has been said about him, where he's the most strongest he could ever be, what is being said. And this man, Namor, shown multiple times that he's just that built different. With this being said, and all around, Namor has showcased his case of matter of direct impair skill. So yeah, Namor is pretty cracked when it comes down to his capabilities and stuff like that. And if he is truly as strong as Thor and as strong as Hulk in water, to even more what is being said, and the different case of matter of feats showcasing in the matter of these screenshots and the tail, this would easily make him at least in this case country level plus arguably. But at the same time, if we take into account that he could even be as strong as Hulk to stronger in this case, at a higher case, there's a multi-case matter of different calcs and scaling that would put that in the ballpark of possibly, because of someone like Thor and Thor 4, love it or hate it, even though it deliberately was just ass and it pretty much turned your brain off movie. This man, Thor, was able to defeat Thor's greatest enemy in the comics, what is being said, aka just like baseline his own enemy, what is being said, Gore the God Butcher. And by his name, obviously he went around the case of the cosmos, killing gods, doing his regular routine. And he has the Necro Sword, the thing that Zeus, the mightiest god of omnipotent city, feared. And Thor has mentioned people like Ra, the strongest of the Egyptian gods, who based on being the case of the god, the sun would be up to the sun to star level and beyond, especially when compared to the matter of Egyptian mythology, where Ra is easily universal by a greater stand of his feats in the case of how he scales to other people. So with that being said, even though I'm not saying Thor in the case of MCU's version is the stronger, the fact that Thor would defeat in Thor's own comics the case of his greatest adversary, in this case Gore the God Butcher, and he himself was able to defeat a guy that's on the case of a higher arguable plus than the case of matter of planetary, you could put Namor beyond that cusp, and Namor easily could be in this instance of reaching a planetary stasis of gain, what is being said. But again, it is a mixed bar of the timing, because Thor 4 came out way before Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and the writing and all that and the power scaling seems pretty strong, consistent all around. So I would say that it's not too far-fetched to say that Namor is in that ballpark of scale, as again, he, by the case of the director's statement, is as strong as Thor in base, but then stronger than the Hulk possibly in water. So I think it's not too out of pocket to say that, what is being said. So yeah, take that for what you will. But if you had to ask me consistently, especially from the scale, I would say in base he would be the country level regard, right? And then +1 in the case of water, I would say is a multi-country matter of a person, to even getting to the state instance to where you could put him on a case of create a wiping of people base, not necessarily like planet surface, I would say, but I would say at a high ball you could put him to that scale of being a very planet wiping case a matter of threat. So consider be on a continental scale, because again we don't really have the most concrete stance into scaling for the case of Thor and Hulk for a greater deal considerably, even with that one scale. What is being said, and I want to say shout out to case of matter of key issues for the case of matter of the different scans and scaling that were provided and things like that. So Namor is very powerful with his speed. What is being said, he doesn't have very concrete matter of speed feats, again being able to dodge and blitz different case of matter of bullets from Wakandan ships, and Wakanda ships being the fastest case of matter of ships to planes on the case of the planet of the MCU. I would say that he easily has a case of hypersonic to massively hypersonic matter of speed feat right there, and doesn't show anything else. And all around, he again being in only one movie hasn't showed us as much as he would usually if he had a case like a TV show or something else with a longer regard of material, like in this case with the case of the other characters in the MCU. But even with that being said, makes him pretty fast. He's able to scale to Shuri, who even doesn't have any strong stance of actual speed scaling, but that's something to say. He, when it comes down to skill, would reasonably have more skill than Atuma, who's relative to Okoye in skill and beats her arguably with a hand that is not as dominant, in this case the left hand. And Atuma is the general of Talokan's people, who's being said. And obviously Talokan born and showcases a great count of skill. And the Dora Milaje have been talked about multiple times being the most renowned and greatest case of matter of possible military ball for ball hand to hand case of matter of force. Okoye was relative to the case of one of Thanos' daughters, was banging out with Black Widow when it came down to fighting, and again is the general of the Dora Milaje, so she would easily have a great case matter of skill. And even though Shuri is not necessarily unskilled, she never showed the same matter of martial arts and proficient prowess like the case for her brother, who was literally out here going hand for hand, ball for ball with Captain America, the greatest soldier to ever live in the case of the MCU, what is being said. And we all know that T'Challa is notorious for the case matter of his skill. So yeah, and by even the words of like someone like Falcon says that you would be better fighting Bucky than fighting Dora Milaje, when in the case of matter of Okoye, with the YMB being a great proficient warrior, and in the case of matter of a general as well. So if Namor is stronger than all these people combined, has more skill regiment than these people, that's even enough. And again, he was being weakened by the case matter of heat and being droughted of water, what is being said, and then have another case salvage its full case matter of strength. So this being said, the case of his fight with Shuri is not the best showcase, but he did show a great deal of stuff. I mean, his strength, being able to crack Shuri, being able to cause a crater with a punch, then blitz her into the air, fly her up there, do a wrestling move, and clack her to the ground and straight dog the fuck out of her, shows a great deal of speed and mixed time strength as well. And all around, he's just a very proficient, dope-ass case of matter of a character. What his weakness is, obviously, he needs water size full case of matter of strength. So depending on where he's fighting, if he doesn't have a great deal of water, this man is not going to do the best, and is an easy weakness. The case of the wings on his feet, take away his flight. Now, it does seem like, in comparison to the comics, of the same matter of origin stand for his wings, with him obviously being a mutant, not in the same case of matter, because obviously if you read comic books and you're a nerd like me, you know that Namor from the comics and Namor from the MCU is demonstrably different. But like in the case of the comics, Namor can regenerate his wings and at the same time have a healing factor when he gets into water, like Percy Jackson, in this case being able to grow the case of his wings and heal with his face being scratched by a case of vibranium claws by Shuri when he doesn't have enough water. So he has a semi-case matter healing factor when he gets to the water and can heal the case of his wings back, obviously not in full form of battle because he had his whole case of right foot to left foot wrapped at the end of Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I think it's safe to say that this man Namor has a case of the ball of how to actually fight and move versatilely down in the grand scope. So yeah, that's pretty much it. before I forget, I just want to go ahead and say that he has these bomb water things that allow him to go ahead and splash person. He brought the sun to the people of Talokan for the solar flare thing. He has a thing called Imperious Rex in the comics, means Emperor, King, or King's Might, pretty much a will amp. He's a savage, killed the queen with these things that could do a great deal of damage and floodgate you if he wanted to. He's a savage, and it gives his nose pierced, sticking out a little bit weird. But that's pretty much it for the account of Namor in a different scope. When it comes down to the case of Namor, when it comes down to him being a fighter, different things along those lines. Hope you guys have enjoyed. This is a very cool video to me. If you guys would like to see more MCU power scaling or anything in the matter involving movies and stuff like that, let me know. I'll always be down to. I'm glad to be talking about Namor. Hopefully this was precise and coming together in a very cool way for y'all. With this being said, I love y'all. I'm going to see you guys in the next one. Peace, AmonRa. Love y'all.